find many funny stuff, you know. And the last one was a practical one, where we wanted to just translate our love to the country in practical way. Then we went tree planting. We planted about 200 trees. That wasn't the only project that has finished, but I even love to go with my kids and teach them to plant trees. Planting trees tree is a symbolic of goodness, of peace, of you know, it's a harbor for birds and conserve the environment in different ways. You know, birds would just fly on the top of trees, not on the top of the, you know, on desert, or they might come across it, but it's just quite a beautiful place to be flying on. That's why it's a conservation for the environment. That was very successful for workshops, done it many times. I am sure that you guys, you can do the same thing here with brothers like Al-Hikmah, Islamic societies, and different universities. You can even exceed us and do something better. I actually learned from you in the last 2 years when I came here and I met my brother Maruf, and then I was touched by the hard work of the brothers and sisters with him and how cheerful they are, probably nice people, welcoming and very active, loving goodness and good stuff for everybody, Muslim and non-Muslims. And then I went back and I started to think, why don't I set up something like that? And I did, and it's very successful. We have brothers and sisters, only dominated by brothers, and it's very successful, trying to do our best. So again, would like to just leave you by saying that we should not have any conflict between Islam, being Muslim, and being British. It's actually, we can live in harmony. Some of the companions lived in non-Muslim countries in harmony, like Ethiopia at the time of the Prophet, and the king of Ethiopia was very fair and nice person. He protected the people, and the people acted in a nice way in the country, and nobody even harmed them because of the word of the king, he said. And that king was a Christian, fair person to Muslims in his country. So we have had many experiences. It's not the first time to live among non-Muslims. They are living in our country back home, you know, and they having their rights and stuff. We have lived in Europe before, and we're still living in Europe. There are even Muslim states in Europe, and you are Muslims and living here in England. So this is something we supposed to be feeling proud of. And again, I will leave you with that message. Try to walk the talk and translate your love to this country in a practical ways by cooperating and coordinating with one another. Thank you very much, and Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you very much for that very insightful talk, Chris. We're going to now have a question and answer session. Please fire away.
You're from the back?
Sure.
Yeah, and you said during the talk that Muslims have to love the country that they're in. But can Muslims really love a piece of land and a country, knowing that in Islam there's a concept of nationalism and asabiyya, and many hadith of the Messenger of Allah when it says asabiyya, nationalism, if anyone calls for it, fight for it or die for it, he's not one of us. Can a Muslim really love the country he's in, whether it's Britain or any Muslim country, knowing that asabiyya, nationalism is not allowed?
No, what, sorry? Knowing?
Asabiyya, nationalism is not allowed.
Yes, asabiyya, okay. No, well, it's nationalism. Oh, okay, now, if nationalism is going to bring me to be an ugly person, hating others, this is what is not accepted in Islam. This is the meaning of the word asabiyya you said in Arabic, right? But the implication now, alright, I'll give you an example, okay? I'm an Egyptian, this is the nationalism, and our team played with Algeria, as you might know, and then we have lost, they have lost, but we had a lot of drama and fighting and calling names via the internet. It became very ugly. This is what you have mentioned as a bad nationalism or asabiyya. You know, we are not supposed to hate other people to become loyal to my country, right? And I'll give you an example. Bilal ibn Rabah, the Ethiopian, he was Ethiopian from Al-Habasha, Ethiopia nowadays. He was among the Muslims. person among the scholars of Muslims, very well respected. He's calling, making adhan on the top of the Kaaba, the most holiest place we believe in the whole world. Right? And when he left, because now he's like you guys here in the UK. Maybe our grandfather or your father or my father is not from here originally, but he came, working very hard, and just raised us up here. Sayyidina Bilal, our master Bilal ibn Rabah, is the same story. He loved Mecca. Though he was a slave, enslaved there before Islam. He loved Mecca from the bottom of his heart. When the Prophet told him and the rest of the companions that they had to move to Medina, 500 kilometers away from Mecca, only 500 kilometers, he moved, and he started crying. He had just homesickness, as we call it nowadays, and kept crying, remembering the places he used to play in, and saying some poetry indicating that. So to love your country is very natural. And to be loyal to it, again, is very good. But again, not to accept any oppression from your country. You don't accept any oppression even from your father to other people. You say, no, father, why did you do this to that boy? Why did you hit him? For example. So by same token, you won't accept a bad action from your country and you're still loyal to it. The problem is that when you say that I don't accept that, you're not loyal to Britain, If you are loyal to the UK, you would accept whatever is done. No, this is not true. Right? So nationalism here, loving country, my country it doesn't have any bad implication at all whatsoever. Because I mentioned even the verse from the Quran, وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ, that when the guy asked me, what is your homeland? I said, everywhere is my homeland. Yes, I have New Zealand citizenship, Egyptian citizenship, but still England is kind of home, because the whole earth is home for us. You can move from a place to place, I hope that was an answer for your question, and I got it right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I kind of agree with a lot of what you've said in your talk here. What I want to do is make a comment, and perhaps you can ask a question based upon the comments I'm going to make. I'm someone who was born in the UK. My parents came here, and their parents came here some decades ago. And we've lived here for a number of years. And really, we had no problems, apart from racism, because racism was an issue back in those days. And we built masjids, and we had halal food shops, and our sisters, they used to wear, hijab and the like here, and things were okay for us. But over a period of time, and recently especially, we've noticed that we're starting to sense some problems, and the problems do, to some extent, emanate from identity. So you've mentioned that you're Egyptian, I'm born in Britain, but my parents come from Punjab. But we have a certain link, a certain bond that brings us together, which is our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the same type of bond that we have for the Muslims in Palestine or the Muslims in Iraq. It's a bond based on our belief in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So naturally, like you mentioned, that we speak out against oppression. We're not talking here about doing violent actions, we're talking here about speaking out against oppression.
Right.
Because this